are 10 ways that I like to use Easter eggs to support literacy in my therapy sessions. Quick note, before I do any of these activities, I always have to do a little bit of prep, unfortunately. And for this activity, I will be prepping by putting my decodable sentence strips, more on that later, inside of the Easter eggs, and then I will hide the Easter eggs all around the speech room. So the first thing I'll do once my students come and I let them know we're doing our egg hunt is I'll start to give them some clues on where the eggs might be. And when I give them these clues, I'm going to be having them follow those directions with conditions. So I might say things like, I put 2 eggs on the bookshelves. Or I might give them some guidance and I might say, first find me the pink egg, then find me a blue egg. So they're working on auditory processing, some of those conditional terms, following directions, auditory memory, short-term memory, just with those clues that I give them. From there, I might also help them narrow in to find the eggs by really focusing on prepositions and spatial concepts. So I might say, there is an egg under a piece of furniture. Or I might say, look on top of the shelf for one of the eggs. Then they can clue into those spatial terms like under, on top, next to, beside, between, whatever it is that you're targeting. Once the students find the egg, I'll have them tell me what color it is. So this egg is pink, and I'll have the student label the color. And then I'll ask them to tell me the beginning sound of the color. For example, in this egg is pink. So I'll want them to tell me pink, and I'll also want them to tell me because pink begins with the sound. I'll want to even go one step further, and I want to connect that phonological awareness of beginning sound to letter sound knowledge. This is really important for beginning readers to connect that phonological awareness to their letter sound knowledge. So they know the egg is pink, and they know pink begins with the sound. The next challenge is I might put 2 of my letter sound cards out, and I'll ask them, I'll say, okay, now which letter says that sound? And I'll show them some letters and I'll give them some choice, but I want them to match that beginning sound P to the letter P. You can also do some rhyming here too. I could have them rhyme with the word pink. I could say pink, sink, wink, think. So working on this phonological awareness of beginning sounds, the rhyming, is really priming them for isolating that P and connecting the beginning sounds to letters. That is our foundation for literacy, connecting sounds to letters. Okay, well, finally, they've done all of these clues. They've followed all of your auditory directions with spatial concepts and prepositions, and they've done rhyming and they found the letters in the beginning sound. Now they can finally open up the egg and surprise, there's more work to be done inside the eggs. Sometimes I put maybe a little jelly bean or a sticker in here too, just to keep them engaged if I maybe don't want them to feel too challenged. But generally, students love these egg hunts. And they will pull out the sentence strip. So I have created a set of 14 different sentence strips that are aligned to different steps of decoding progress where your student may be. So if they're reading CVC words with short vowels, I've got a set of strips for that. If they're reading words with blends, I've got strips for that. If they're reading words with vowel teams or R-controlled vowels or multisyllabic words, prefixes, suffixes, whatever it may be, there are word strips for that in my spring activities bundle, which I've linked in the show notes here of the video. Be sure to check that out. If your student isn't quite yet reading full sentences, maybe they're still working on connecting letters and sounds, no worries. We can also hide letters inside of our Easter eggs. And so if you grab the Spring Resources bundle, I also have letters that you can cut out and they're kind of organized by difficulty, complexity, and frequency. So letters like X and QU come at the end, where high frequency letters like M and P are right at the beginning. You can also hide these if you just wanted to do, let's say, extra practice with those letter sound correspondences like you did before they open the eggs. You can also have letters in here. And then maybe you can think about some words that begin with this sound. So if they have the letter W, they'll tell you W makes a W sound. And then you can think about words like water, word, wet that start with that sound. So you'll get lots of letter sound correspondence practice and or lots of decoding practice with those sentence strips. But the fun doesn't stop there. These sentence strips are really awesome too because there's so much more that you can support on them than just decoding. When I say just, I mean decoding is everything. It's so important. But then you can dive into the sentence strips and start thinking about, well, what do the words in the sentence mean? I've been thoughtful about the vocabulary that's included. So these are springtime words. There's a lot of springtime vocabulary. Words like stem or bud or park or multisyllabic words like sunset and picnic are all featured on these strips. So this is an opportunity to not only practice decoding, but to also practice the vocabulary, specifically springtime vocabulary. So can you read the words and can you understand what they mean? And then you could also do some syntax work with these. You can dissect and expand upon the sentences. So you can ask your students, who or what is the sentence about? And then you can say things like, let's add on to this sentence. So if I give you this sentence, maybe let's try to add, two sentence strips together. Or we're going to add a preposition to the end of the sentence. Can you expand it? Can you tell me more? You can even cut up parts of the sentence, right? Like cut out the subject and the predicate and shuffle them. And can the students put them back together? Lots of awesome syntax work here. Okay, and you can do that for every egg. So that was just 8 or 10 things right then and there for each and every egg that your student needs to find. So whew, they're going to search all over your room. They're up and down. They're out of their seats. They're following your directions. They're decoding. They're thinking about vocabulary and syntax. So engaging, so multisensory, so many skills targeted. But that's not it because we still got to wrap up our session and most importantly, connect what we're doing to literature. So great way to conclude this session where you've targeting any and every goal that there is under the sun is to connect it back to a text. So you might want to, connect it like really literally to some Easter egg hunt stories. Maybe that's what your students is interested in. If your student does not celebrate Easter or you don't want to be holiday specific, you can even just do kind of springtime books. So Peter Rabbit is a great springtime book and just kind of make it a spring celebration session. Or you can make it a book about just like looking for things and searching and the concept of looking all around. They've worked really hard to find all of those eggs. And a book I love for that is We Are Going on a Bear Hunt. And this book is really awesome because they have to go over and under and through all of these different areas. So if you were targeting those spatial concepts in your egg hunt, you can then read about lots of spatial concepts in a bear hunt. And then, of course, we don't just read the book and go. We can also conclude, wrap up with one more speech language skill we can squeeze in here, which is narrative retell. So your students can retell the story that they read by using graphic organizers, by using frames like beginning, middle, end, or problem solution. And there you have it. You can target, I said 10, but probably we did about 12 or maybe even 14 altogether. Different ways that you can use Easter eggs in your speech therapy activities.